Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting initiative by MIT ID Innovation. On behalf of the core team, the alumni, and the cohort of 2020-21, we are grateful to be safe and amongst you all hosting the session today. For those who are joining us for the first time today, we'd like to share that MIT stands for the ever progressive, 4-decade young Maharashtra Institute of Technology. ID stands for MIT's 15-year young pioneering Institute of Design. MIT ID's latest contribution to strengthening the global innovation ecosystem is the flagship one-year innovation program, which focuses on the four pillars of design, business, technology, and humanities. The key features and differentiators of this one-year course are a hands-on, highly customized, pro-practical, project-heavy based learning, deep immersions, and humanities. As promised, our open online courses focusing on innovation essentials have been launched this quarter. The duration of these certificate courses will range from 1 month to 9 months, in addition to a full-time one-year campus-based course. Moving on to today's session, we now welcome our guest educator and innovator, Mr. Harshesh Gokani, a business intelligence and a management consultant from Daimler, who has worked across several departments like marketing and sales, supply chain, finance, and customer service. Over the years, working in multiple countries, Power BI has helped him transform customer experience by ensuring better service delivery. Freeing up his time for value-added analysis, he could visualize and analyze data with greater speed, efficiency, and understanding. Harshesh is an alumnus of National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, and the Indian High School, Dubai. He will be in conversation with Mr. Harshit Desai, Director, MIT ID Innovation, an industry professional who has spent a decade plus in the higher education domain. He is a faculty at MIT ID and is currently pursuing his PhD. He is deeply immersed in building India's foremost innovation education practice in collaboration with fellow industry leaders. Team MIT ID Innovation welcomes you all once again to this thoughtfully curated innovation journey. Please do read the chat for other important pointers shared. Warm welcome once again, everyone. Over to you, Harshesh.
Well, thank you so much, first and foremost, to introduce me and then give me this opportunity to discuss about business intelligence with Harshit as well as all of you participants here. So let me just start with sharing my screen. Yes, again, a warm welcome. Good afternoon. Before we begin, I would just want you to, put down on chat. Can you hear me? Can you see me? So at least that is clear, and then we begin. If my audio is clear as well as my video, you can see me, then we begin.
Great. So just before we begin, we'll also invite Mr. Harshit to take over.
Yeah. Thanks, Priya. Thanks, Harshesh, for joining in this fantastic session. I'm always excited when anything about data is being discussed because everybody has heard this often that data is the new oil, but people have also gone ahead and said that probably data is the new soil, and the the what all possibilities exist when we just look at data, and all kinds of data. uh, it's it's just limitless, and the way we deal with data in today's time becomes very important, both personally and professionally. So the only way we can kind of live in today's world is that we should have the required tools and the required understanding of how do we deal with data. And this is probably the main reason where when we talk about innovation, design, and all these emerging areas, we feel that how do you make sense of data is going to be a, like, it's like a fundamental skill which everybody will need to have. The way we are all used to using, say, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, the next step is that some of these tools which Harshesh is going to talk about, they will become a part and parcel of our professional life, and the way it opens up possibilities for your own analysis and the kind of opportunities that you can explore at a personal level also, is very very important and interesting. So yeah, excited to be part of this conversation, and we have a fantastic person like Harshesh, because rarely you find people who know the kind of nitty gritties of the technicalities involved, but at the same time have the kind of a bird's eye view of the bigger picture. And he, having spent time right from a shop floor in Daimler to being in the consulting position with the top management, I think he has the right zoom in zoom out capabilities to kind of deal with the things that we are going to talk about. So thanks, Harshesh, once again, and I think I look forward to some interesting insights and conversations around data and design.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. What you said is, in fact, completely true that these kind of tools are going to become a day-to-day bread and butter for all the people out there who are going to start working. So, with that note, uh, today's session is again, like we have told, it's about how to begin your journey as a business analyst. All of you can without any kind of coding knowledge. So, for that, I would just like to know, what background or industry do you guys belong to? Because today's session, I've kept it kind of loose. We will sway towards what you guys want, what you guys need, also what background you are from. So then we speak from those angles as well. So just again, put down on chat. You guys have already done it before. Put it down on chat, and then I'll be able to guide this session across on what background or industry do you belong to. So is it automotive, education, maritime and logistics? Yes, Darshan, automotive, right? Akanksha, supply chain management, commerce. There is a design faculty here, someone from textile design, architecture design, education. Well, so what we see here is we have a very diverse nature of people here. And I would like to point out one thing, that working with data or doing kind of business analytics is important for all these different functions that we see. In fact, I'm from the automotive background. I have myself worked with a multinational corporation for the last 4 years. And last year, while working with a multinational corporation, I did a very small informal experiment which was inspired by Hans Rosling. He's a Swedish physician where he takes these kind of experiments with large public, and then he kind of shows something which is what I tried to take and emulate with my friends. So I'll just take the next 5 minutes to show you what this experiment. It's very interesting. To start with, we take these group of people who were my fellow colleagues in my multinational corporation, and I just asked them 7 basic questions. Which country is more crowded? Where I asked them 4 questions, if you see on the screen. Is Bangladesh crowded or Singapore? Is Bahrain crowded or India? Maldives crowded or Japan? Pakistan crowded or United Kingdoms? I also asked them simple questions. Antarctica is crowded or is Australia? Is India crowded or Greenland? And finally, a last question, where do we have more number of stars in the universe or number of grains of sand on earth? So you see the grains of sand on the road, in Thar desert, in Sahara desert, or wherever you see those tiny particles. As compared to that, are there more stars in the universe? Are there more suns in the universe? So these were the 7 questions which I asked them to choose. I will not ask you guys to choose. These are the right answers that you see on the screen. Singapore happens to be more crowded than Bangladesh, Bahrain way more than India, Maldives over Japan, United Kingdom, a first world country, happens to be way more crowded than Pakistan. Australia, which is a country as compared to Antarctica, a continent, is 3 times larger than Antarctica. India is 14 times bigger than Greenland. And if you look at the map, the Greenland is way bigger than a tiny India that you would see. Also, if you look at which do you think is more, for each grain of sand, there are approximately 10,000 stars in the universe. So if you take all the grains of sand, multiply by 10,000, that many number of suns are there in the universe. So let's see what the multinational corporation I work with answered. Now, these are the people who work with multiple different countries, work with multiple nationalities. So they should have an idea, right? The answer was a mere 2.9. So the mean, basically, on an average, out of the 60, 70 odd people I surveyed, the mean number of correct answers were just 2.9, or if we round it, were 3. And what has happened statistically here is we have proved that chimpanzees make better choices than the multinational corporate people. How? Take 100 chimpanzees, give them a banana, ask them to choose one of these. And just the way we would choose head or tails, they are also just going to choose at random this. And when we have a list of 100, it becomes 50%. So out of 7 of them, 3.5 out of 7 questions, 3.5 would be chimpanzees who would get it right. So over here, the problem is not that the multinational corporate is ignorant, but the problem is that they have preconceived ideas or notions of these countries. And that is where the whole uh, problem starts. So what we need is always to come look back, trust our opinions, trust our gut definitely, but always do verify with data. If we had the numbers alongside here, Bangladesh, Singapore, these are the numbers, very easy for us to check. Singapore is way more, Bahrain is next, etc. But if we have preconceived notions, they don't always come out to be right. Along with along with data, we also need to visualize it. Now, data generally means, for example, a set of numbers. And when we say, okay, the average of this data is so much, or the maximum in this data is so much. Now, there's another experiment which Autodesk had conducted where for different means, I mean, for the same means, if you see along the x-axis, the mean is 54.26. That means the average of all these points that you see when you put it down under the x-axis is remaining the same no matter how you visualize them. If you make a dinosaur with these data points, your mean is the same. If you make an X, the mean remains the same. If you make a circle, it remains the same. So they kind of wanted to show that it's not always just the data and maybe the average or the standard deviation associated with it, but also the fact that we need to visualize the data. So two things. One, working with data is important. Second, visualizing the data that we have is equally important, because this itself can put us off on the wrong note. Now, when we speak about visualization, data, there's a lot of buzz going around, right? People keep talking about data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so many things, business intelligence. But what are these things? If you look at the buzz around data, people say data is the new oil, analytics is the combustion engine of this century. Data scientist, the sexiest job of the 21st century. Someone has said big data analytics sector is going to become a $16 billion industry in 2025. Now, if you see the sources, Harvard Business Review, Economic Times, they're pretty credible, right? I mean, they know what they're saying. But what are these buzzwords? Data scientists, big data, analytics, business intelligence. So what I want to do for the next 10 minutes is to break down these words for you. So the next time you go to someone, next time you talk to them and talk about data scientists, you know what that means. You know what business intelligence means. And I can take one step forward and also tell you that we all do data science on a daily basis. So let's take an example of considering, let's take an example to cross a road. We are in India, we'll be crossing roads regularly. So in our world, the first thing when you're standing on one side of the footpath, what will you do? You will look at the surrounding with your eyes. Basically, you will see, okay, there are trees, there are footpath, there are cars moving by, there's a policeman standing to stop the cars in case things are going wrong. In the jargon world, that is the whole data science world, it is called extracting information. So what we are doing, we're collecting, we are downloading the information in our head. Once we have the information, we will remove the unwanted items. So we see, okay, there are buildings on the other side, not needed for me to cross the road. There are trees, not needed. That policeman is not going to catch me. I'm just crossing the road. So those are the things I will remove, the unwanted items. Again, in the jargon world, the data science world, it is basically transforming the data. That is, you're cleaning, you're processing the data. Once we have removed everything and we only have what we need in front of us, we will then identify the vehicles, identify the speeds. Okay, there are 20 odd vehicles coming. This is their speed. This is a big vehicle. There are some motorbikes coming. Again, in the jargon world, this is called exploring. So you're identifying the influencers. You've got your data set. You only have what you need. And now you are exploring, you're understanding, okay, what is it about? What does this mean? What is the average of this? What is the maximum in this, etc. Then you will use your experience to relate to the current scenario. So it's not the first time you're crossing the road. You would have crossed the road multiple times before this. So you would go back in time. This is what your head does. And you say that, okay, I've crossed this road before. It takes me approximately so much time to walk, but these are the cars that are coming. So you start creating a model that, okay, these are the speeds. I take so much time to cross. There are sometimes there are people coming from the other side, so I need to take care. Even in the data world, it's called modeling. You organize all your data sources, you load your data. You have one, you take another source, you keep it next to it, you kind of make relationships across these different data sets. Finally, you make predictions when to cross. So you know all the vehicles that are coming, how long you will take to go there. And finally, what you do, you start making predictions. If I go now, definitely I'm going to get hit by the car. If I go after these set of cars that are coming, then maybe I can get going. So maybe it's after these two cars I will start going. Similarly, we predict in the data science world. We forecast, we extrapolate. So we see what we have, and with that, we start predicting what we can get out of it. Finally, we visualize all the possible outcomes. So there are first case, we are going to get hit. Second case, we're going to be okay. Even in the data science world, we display our data that we have. And finally, we cross the road. So we make a decision based on the data that we had, and then we worked across it and we cross the road. So what your head finally has done is a part of data science. And this is something that we do on a daily basis. Let it be running our houses, let it be getting our groceries from downstairs, whatever you do, there is data science involved and you're already doing it. But when you are to put it in a context of a business, it changes a lot. For example, people said they are from automotive background. Some people said they are from the design background. Let's take, for example, design background. You will be getting data based on your feedback from the surveys that you conduct with your customers. That data set that you get also can give you a lot of insights and some decisions that you will make based on your data set. So if you look at the same process, extracting the data, transforming, cleaning it, exploring, modeling, visualize, predict, and decide, what it's trying to show over here is nothing but data science. And when we look at what business intelligence means, it is again the same thing. It is a way of making business decisions based on insights out of data. So if we look at data science, the process, and we put it in the context of business, it becomes business intelligence. And when you start doing business, and as in when you become a business analyst, or if you can understand already, a business analyst works on things that we work on a daily basis. I'm sure you all must have used Excel, got some data with that Excel, maybe made some charts or had some interpretations. If you're in the finance field, you would have worked across different profit and loss statements, pricing models. So you have taken that data, made some analysis on it, and then shown it across to the world or made some decision. All of that constitutes under the umbrella of business intelligence. And currently, the way we do business intelligence is through the Microsoft suite. For example, most of us or most of the companies today use Excel to take the data, clean it, make some sense out of it, PowerPoint and Word to create our beautiful decks, or a Word document to create reports, Outlook to share it. And we use this whole Microsoft suite to work across the entire business intelligence journey. There are also Google suites where you have Google Sheets, Google Pages, Google Docs, etc., which people use, and finally even Apple Apple tools that we have. But what does the future of business intelligence hold? And what I see, which is changing on a daily basis in corporations around the world, are they are using what we call BI tools, business intelligent tools. Now, if you see down on your screen, you have business intelligent tools from IBM, from Power BI, from Microsoft, from SAP. There are multiple tools that are available, and each of these tools work across the journey of business intelligence. So you don't need to go down to Word, you don't need to go down to Excel, you don't need to go down to PowerPoint. It's just Power BI, which takes care of all the steps in your data science or business intelligence process. So to deep dive further on what Power BI is, how do we work, or how does it actually change our life? For that matter, it has changed my life in the way I present to people, how I analyze data. What used to take me 2 days takes me 2 hours now. So to show you this, what I will do is I will take a very simple example And this example, I think, is perfect for the weekend. And I will take the next 20 odd minutes taking that example through Power BI to explain to you how we can use Power BI on a day-to-day basis to start presenting and analyzing data. So for this, let us scope out a little. Go back 1 year in time. 1 year in time, back in January, COVID was very new. And COVID, coronavirus, people said is all dependent on temperature. People said if it's a hotter country, there are fewer cases. If it's a colder country, there are a lot many more cases. So it all depends on temperature. Some people said alcohol was a matter. People who drank alcohol didn't get COVID. People who didn't drink got COVID. I am no one to answer that, nor do I have any idea if that is true. But I do have an idea about the other two factors, temperature and alcohol. So that is the data set that I've taken. And I would like to show you through the data set that we have, how does the world choose its alcohol? What does India prefer? What does Europe drink? What does Australia drink? Is wine the most sold alcohol in the world? Is beer the most sold? And we'll also relate it to temperature. How does temperature play an effect on what people drink, how much they drink, etc. So we have a data set on Excel, which is something similar to all the data sets that you would have on Excel based on the field you're from. If you're from finance, like I told you, you might have pricing details. If you are from sales or marketing, you may have customer details. Again, if you're from design field, you might have your feedback or your survey details, right? So we have a data set which I will show you in a while on about countries and their alcohol consumption, and then we'll make sense out of it with the help of Power BI. Now, before we get into it, get your fingers a little warm, because I again want you to get down to the chat and just put down the answer to this question. Which country do you think consumes the most wine? A, is it India? B, is it USA? C, is it France? Or D, is it Mexico or Mexico? So we have these four. Put it across on chat what you think, or which country do you think consumes the most wine? Great. So most of you have written France. There are some Indians out there. Great. Oh, there is a US as well. Fine. So we have a mix of opinion, but majorly it's going towards France. Now, I will not reveal the answer here. We will leave it to the dashboard, or we will leave it to the data to give us the answers. But we will keep doing this on a continuous basis. And we will see what we know, how much can data tell us, or from the data, what can we interpret. So keep this in your head. Which country consumes the most wine? Majorly people have written France, then USA, and then it comes to India as well. No one chooses Mexico. Fine. So let's look at the data set that we have. What I've opened right in front of you is an Excel sheet. This Excel sheet has all the master data, which you would have in different forms based on the field that you're in. I have the country, all the countries here. Based on the country, the beer glasses, how many do they drink in a year? So each person in Zimbabwe drinks 64 glasses of beer in 1 year. So all that you see over here, all the numbers that you see are based on yearly data. Each year per person, how much do they drink? So if you look at Zimbabwe, beer glasses 64, then how much does 64 glasses mean in terms of liters of pure alcohol? So what does this 1.14 mean? For example, one glass is 300 ml of beer. We know beer approximately is 5% alcohol. So out of that 300 ml, 5% of alcohol would be 15 ml. So when you multiply that by 64 glasses, 15, you will get approximately 1.14 liters per person of pure alcohol. So this 1.14 liters means pure alcohol. Which continent does Zimbabwe belong to? Africa? What's its code? What's the population and the average yearly temperature in that country? So if you see, we have for all the countries in the world a data set, and for different types of alcohol. We have for Zimbabwe beer, for spirits means whiskey, rum, vodka, all the 40 percentage or higher alcohols. We have wine, and for each of them we have the respective continents, population, etc. What others mean are the homegrown or very specific native to that area. So Zimbabwe does not have any native homegrown beer, I mean homegrown alcohol, but we will see in other cases that there are many countries, for example, India has its own homegrown scene where there is a lot of data on that as well. So this is our data set. And our question was to know which country consumes the most wine. So one way to do it, which is probably the worst way, is go to USA, check it consumes 84 glasses of wine and 1.76 liters of alcohol, and then we can write it down. USA consumes so much. Next was Mexico. So we go down to Mexico, and then we search for Mexico. And Mexico consumes 5 glasses of wine. So that is 0.11. And then we write down for all, and then we check the correct answer. So that is one way to do it working with Excel, which may not be the best way to do it. Now, there are some people who use another way, which is a little better than this. They just simply filter out. So if you are conversant with Excel, if you have worked around with Excel, these are filters that you can work with. You can just choose wine because we're only talking about wine. Now, with respect to wine, I want to know which is the most consuming country. So I can again sort this based on alcohol liters from largest to smallest. And here we see it's 7.77 liters, 370 glasses, which is France. So all the people who wrote out there, France being also a very, very large producer of wine, drinks a lot of wine as well. It's not USA, it's not India. So this is another way to look at the same data and then find out our answers. One last way is to maybe create a chart. We also have on Excel charts. We can create charts and then we can figure out. But if I am to be a little, if I am to tell you this, these are a little old ways of doing it. There are many, many better ways of doing it. And that is what I am here for today. I will show you what the industry is moving towards. It's not working with Excel, but using maybe Excel just as a data source tool and then working over something called Microsoft Power BI. So using this data set, what I've done is I've created a dashboard, a very interactive dashboard on Microsoft Power BI. So this is a Power BI dashboard that you see. It is very interactive in nature. I can choose things and then it changes accordingly. I can choose continents. I can choose, for example, beer, and then it shows across how much beer consumption is there, etc. And all of this that you see here is based out of that small Excel sheet that we got. Now, I will just go through each of these charts that you see over here and what do they mean, and then we will try to figure out a lot more deep dive into this and understand how Power BI actually works. So if you see over here, the first visual on top left is a visual which is talking about yearly people from which country drink the most alcohol. So per person in Belarus, in every year, 14.4 liters of pure alcohol is being drunk. Similarly, Andorra, Lithuania, France, Czech. Now, there's something very interesting that is evident right in front of you here. And that is basically what the power of visualizing data is. That if you see in the first visual itself, all of them are yellow, except for one red bar that you see, Grenada. And if you look at these, all these yellow, what do these yellows mean? It is basically all our European countries. Now let me go a little down. If I go even more down, I see the next 10 odd countries are also from Europe. So if I am to tell which continent kind of people from which continent drink the most, it is Europe, because in out of the first 25 countries, 23 odd are from Europe. Then after 25, 30 odd countries, different colors start, which is where all these different continents start coming up. And this was very simple just because we visualized with data. So if I am to build an alcohol brand, the first place I'm going to focus is Europe because they drink the most. Second, I can also filter this data out. This is for all alcohol, right? We wanted to check the answer for France. I mean, we wanted to check the answer for wine glasses alone. So I have this small drop down menu which I've created. I click on wine and it shows me over here with respect to wine alone, France is the highest consumer. Then comes Portugal, Andorra, Switzerland, and all the other countries that you see over here. I can also select beer, and then it tells me with respect to beer which are the countries which drink the most alcohol. African country, Namibia, happens to be the highest consumer of uh, alcohol. But mind you, guys, this is not total consumption of the country, it is per person in that country how much is drunk. When we look at total consumption of the country, because that will also matter on the population of the country, it happens to be Asia. So if you look at this particular chart, which is called a small tree map, it is trying to showcase which continent drinks the most alcohol in liters. How much does the continent drink? It is not per person anymore. And since Asia's population is so high, even if each person drinks a little, you will have a very high consumption of alcohol. And for that matter, Asia takes the first spot here with 13 billion liters of alcohol. Then comes Europe, which drinks close to 8 billion liters of alcohol, pure alcohol. This is, that means ethanol, the 5% in the whole beer comes out to be 8 billion liters of alcohol in Europe. Similarly, if we see down, this is a small funnel chart which we have created where it tells us what kind of alcohol do people prefer. This is in terms of glasses. Each person, on an average, in the world drinks 106 glasses of beer every year. So that is more like every once in third day you drink one glass. Then spirits again, whiskey, rum, vodka, etc. Finally, wine, which is you can see over here 49. Now I can also change the way this looks. For example, I want to look only for Asia, or I want to look only for Europe. So for Europe, beer is drunk the most. After that, wine, which is 147 glasses, spirits is third. So I can really interact with Power BI and get the data the way I want it. Last that you see on at the bottom here are two maps. On the left is a map of the temperature of the world, the average temperature yearly in the world. So green means it is low, it's a lower temperature. Red means it's high temperature. On the right hand side, if you see, again, green means the alcohol is consumed less, and red means the alcohol is consumed more. So this is a very interactive chart. I can go down again, even in maps, to those particular continents and then have a look. I can also go to that particular country and have a look. For example, I select China. It goes within that country, tells me the maximum temperature, average temperature, the maximum it consumes, average it consumes, minimum it consumes, etc. as well. So let's take another insight that was very, very, very nice for me to understand. Now, there are many countries which are Muslim dominated, where alcohol is basically haram. So if you see this, this is in sorting based on the amount of alcohol they drink. So if you go all the way down, and then if you see countries which don't drink any kind of alcohol, you will see Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Iran, Kuwait, Monaco, Pakistan. All these are Muslim dominated religious countries. And because of it being haram, there is no recorded consumption that takes place over here. So it also kind of reflects on what I thought the whole countries would look like, what it looks like. And you can also use data to kind of validate or revalidate your own opinions about things here. So we have this. Now what I will do is we'll again get back to our PPT. I will ask you one small question and then we'll try to figure out the answer based on our dashboard. So again, guys, get your hands ready. The next question which I would like to ask you is, which type of alcohol do you think is most famous among Asian countries? We have Japan, China, India, etc. Which type of alcohol do you think is drank the most in Asian countries? Is it beer? Are they spirits, wine, or others? So just put it down on chat what you think. We'll go back to our dashboard and we'll try to figure out the answer. Great. So I see beer is what is most famous. More or less, everyone says beer. Now it's coming to spirits. Now this is a very diverse thing, and that's what we need data to answer. Now this is where a data set like this really makes sense. oh, the last 4 or 5 have been with respect to spirits. Let's go back to our data set and let's see what their answers are. Now what I need to do in my dashboard, currently I've not chosen anything. All I need to do is select Asia because I want to see in Asia which kind of alcohol sells or is drunk the most. So I select Asia, and over here is the chart which tells me spirits are the most famous things in Asia. That if you see over here, 58 glasses of spirits are drank in Asia yearly per person. Then comes beer and then comes wine. Even when we speak about Asia, South Korea has the highest consumption of alcohol per person. Then comes Japan, and if we go down to, for example, India, which is also of interest to us, spirits are way higher. So in Asia, average is 58 glasses per year per person. If I select India, so average was 58. In India, it becomes 114. So in India, if we are to look at it, 114 glasses of spirits, either rum, vodka, wine, whiskey, etc., is what is drank by the people, or each person drinks in a year. So it also allows us to really get down into the nitty gritty and ask. And this is very important when I tell you is when you're trying to explain to, for example, your management, or if you're in the design field, you start your own company and then you want to explain to your investors about your market survey. So it becomes very important for you when they ask you, okay, I understand Europe is a good brand, but what happens in Asia? In fact, if I want to start selling in India, how do you do it? So just give me a minute. And it becomes very difficult if we are just on an Excel sheet. We have to literally sit down and go down and filter our data, look at what happens in India, and then make an insight out of it. Whereas, for example, here all we need to do is click on Asia, check India. I can also click on the map for that matter. Once I click on the map, it again boils down and shows us what is required from that data set alone. So it's a very powerful tool. If you see, it is really limited to your imagination once you start using this tool. Now let's go back to our PowerPoint and let's ask the next question. How many glasses of beer does each person drink in Europe? So here I don't want you to guess. I will come back to the dashboard and we will try to figure out from the dashboard what is the right answer. So just keep this in your mind. How many glasses of beer does each person drink in Europe? So I go back to our thing. Now this is about the world. I select Europe and the answer is right in front of you. So if anyone would any one of you would like to share based on what you see on the screen, how many glasses of beer does each person drink in Europe? Put it on the chat and then we can check. You're right, Swarna. You're right, Kangana. It is 206, and it was very simple. It's right here, 206. It's for you to know. So anyone sitting anywhere, you're presenting the data, they ask you, okay, I want to know how many glasses of wine does USA drink. Very simple. Just get out of it, go to USA, click on USA, and it kind of tells you over here. It drinks 249 glasses of beer every year. So the way you interact with data, the way you interact with the people you're presenting to just changes, and it makes it so easy for you to work with it. Now, coming to our last question, which is what we started with, that is temperature and alcohol. So we know, I mean, at least I don't know how temperature and alcohol are related to COVID, but if we do take temperature and alcohol relation with each other, that's shown in the graphs down over here. So again, I want you all to look at these graphs. I will show you the question and let us try to understand some qualitative aspects from the dashboard. So this is the last question for today. We will see how do we work with it. Can you list down what you can infer from the two maps at the bottom of the dashboard? There are two maps, one for temperature, one for alcohol consumption. And I want you to just list down what you can understand. The question is, the clue for it is right on top. Does alcohol really keep you warm? So just pour down your answers on the chat and then you will be able to see it. Anyone who would like to just look at these two maps, understand how they work, and tell me, what do you infer out of these two maps? In Russia, more people are drinking alcohol. Yes, that is one thing because it is a lot red in color. Anyone else? Left temperature, right consumption. Countries near equator have hotter temperature, low temperature. Exactly, Veena. That is what is very clear from here. So if you see over here, all of you said the right thing. Russia consumes a lot of alcohol. Countries near the equator are hotter. But something that if you can relate both of them and see, the top part is the green, which is colder. The bottom part is the hotter. And if you look at this graph over here, the top part is red, which consumes a lot more, and the bottom part is green, which consumes a lot less. So if you again look, the colder the country is, the higher the consumption of alcohol is. For example, let me go down to Africa as well. In Africa, if you see, the top parts are hot because they are way closer to the equator and hence they consume less alcohol, whereas the bottom parts are a little colder than the rest and they start consuming a lot more alcohol. Same thing you look at in Asia. You see all the reds which become green over here, all the greens or the kind of getting greens become red over here. So it really is very easily visible for you once you make this to know and get an insight on how do we infer and how alcohol really makes a difference when it comes to temperature, or temperature making a difference on how much a country drinks alcohol in. So what you can see here is just a small application of how Power BI works. You can use it for anything that you want. Now, if you are to learn Power BI, if you are to understand from where do I get this, how do I understand this, first and foremost, before that, like I told you, there are so many different tools, right? We have Tableau, we have SAP BI. Then why do we choose Power BI? So if you see over here, over 97% of Fortune 500 companies use Power BI. This was also a statement made by Microsoft a couple of months back, and these companies include Apple, Mercedes Benz. So that's my own company that I worked for before, Dell, 3M, Walmart, Carlsberg, and you name it. Every company is shifting towards Power BI. Every company is shifting from a PowerPoint, Excel culture to a Power BI culture. So much so that Gartner, a research agency, has named Microsoft to be the leading business intelligence platform in the last 13 years. So for the last 13 consecutive years, Gartner has named Power BI to be the best business intelligence platform, and then it becomes a no-brainer for us to get and deep dive into it directly. So how do you learn more? What do you do with Power BI? First and foremost, it's a free to use software. So all you need to do is Google, download Power BI and download it from the Microsoft website directly. To begin, just write Power BI documentation on Google. The first link that comes is a Microsoft link, and they have very beautiful videos as well as beautiful ways to start with Power BI. It's a very easy tool for you to start working with it and to just start making these dashboards. If you want to follow best practices, you can Google Accelerator BI blog. Again, the first thing that comes up, which is a person called Matt Allington. He's also from Microsoft, and he gives you the best practices to use within Power BI. If you want to stay up to date, you can YouTube Guy in a Cube. He is a person, I mean, there are two people who are also part of Microsoft, and they keep giving out these new things that are coming up in Power BI, the applications of Power BI. And finally, if you want to be a pro, you can read the definitive guide to DAX or business intelligence. This is by two people who have been involved in the development of Power BI itself. So to download, just begin with download Power BI, get it done and begin with this. So I recommend just start with this Power BI documentation and start what comes first. Finally, more on data visualization. If you want to learn how to visualize more data, go to datavizcatalog.com, datavizproject, ft.com/vocabulary. This allows you to understand which visual to take when, what to use. Should I use a bar chart? Should I use a line chart? Should I use a tree map, etc. on what cases? Or you can also read this books, Storytelling with Data or this. So this is how you would do it if you were to begin yourself. Now, if you see, there are multiple source resources for understanding learning Power BI. When it comes to MIT ID, the team over here, what we have done is we have tried to compile all of them and come up with an all-in-one, one-stop solution, which we will offer you from today onwards on a course which allows you to work end-to-end with Power BI. So once you join in, we will teach you how to begin with Power BI, how to make simplest of dashboards, and then go all the way on the journey to start presenting your dashboards to the world. So let me take the next 2 to 3 minutes in explaining this, and then I will let you know on this, right? So first and foremost, this course enables you to explain and explore large data sets. Like I told you, we'll teach you Microsoft Power BI. It is a free of cost tool. We'll give you interactive visualizations, business intelligence capabilities within this course. Who should take this course? It's um, people who work on PowerPoint and Excel regularly, people who wish to analyze these large data sets, or who just want to start their journey in the field of business analytics. We will do it over Zoom. It will be a 15 to 20 odd hours live sessions that we will do with you, and another 20 hours of self practice sessions that we will do. We'll have 5 sessions, 3 to 4 hours of each session, where we'll teach you end to end on how do we work with Power BI. Now, this course is very unique because what we have kept in mind is to make you people practice. It's not just about talking. It's about a hands-on experience. You'll be making a new dashboard each day. You'll get personalized attention from me as a course director. We'll also keep it collaborative. So we have something called breakout rooms where you, along with 2 more people, will get down, work on practice exercises and come up with answers. And finally, the best part about it is in Power BI, you do not need any coding skills. What you also get along with this course, you'll get certified from MIT Institute of Design, Pune. You will get free LinkedIn Learning licenses after this for you to take your knowledge to one level up and understand a lot more in Power BI. And you'll always have us on the call whenever you want any support to help you out. So how is this course paced over the 5 sessions? Session 1, we will work with Google Play Store data set where we'll just play with Power BI. I'll show you, I'll break some preconceived notions. Day 2, we will work with IMDb movies. We will master all different types of visualizations. We will see how to make tree maps, funnel charts, pie charts, maps, etc. And then we'll get confidence on how to develop simple dashboards. Day 3, we'll start creating data models. This is where we'll take around 50 odd Excel files, and then we will start relating all of them and then working it. So we'll have 50 odd Excel files into one dashboard and making a dashboard. Day 4, we will transform this data sets. What I mean by this is we'll get a bad quality data set from goodreads.com. So all the book readers out there can use this. We'll get a very bad quality data set and then we'll learn how to clean it in Power BI. Finally, we end it with a do-it-yourself session where you will make your own COVID-19 dashboard. So just to show you what participants before this have made, if you look at the dashboard over here, this is a dashboard on COVID-19 participant made after day 5 in a do-it-yourself session, where again you have your daily cases. If you go to, for example, Europe, it kind of shows you how daily cases have been coming up. If you see there's a clear rise or a second wave that's coming, so is the same thing happening when it comes to North America. It's just kind of increasing. You can go down to USA, etc. We can also go back in time. We can see, okay, back in March 2020, if we see the data, the people look a lot different. The world looked a lot different. Only USA and China were the ones who were suffering from COVID, and the remaining were kind of happy. So we can kind of do a very timeline analysis on it and then have a look as well. So finally, I will also tell you how each day will go. Each day you come out, we will do a recap of our previous day. We will learn for the first 15 minutes, all the participants together. The next 40 minutes, that is the doing session in each day, will be on doing it yourself. So you will be having a hands-on immersive experience through this course. You will be working on the exercises that I give you. Once you finish those exercises, we again come out to the main session where I teach you the next concepts, and then we again get down to the learning. So it's more like learn and then do and learn and do sessions, where after 5 days you will be confident enough to make your own dashboards given any data set that you want. We have had good success with this course. Many people have rated it well. Uh, the last thing that I would like to say, and in fact, what everyone would want to know is how much does this course cost? It is 20,000 rupees only. We will do it over 5 sessions, 3 hours per each session. And we will definitely make sure that at the end of 5 days or the 5 sessions, you will have it. Um, you will have enough confidence to be able to build your dashboards and show it off to the world. So what we did today, I will just quickly recap. We saw why chimpanzees are better than us at making choices. What is the use of data visualization? We saw the same data numbers, but different way it changed the whole visually. We saw this buzz around data. We demystified it. Finally, we saw the relationship between business intelligence and data science. It's literally the same, but in terms of business. Finally, we also understood alcohol does keep us warm. Why Power BI over the rest? We saw it's probably the best intelligence platform out there because of many other, through many other sources. And finally, the course that we offer. So starting today, this course is live. You can enroll yourself. We will also be sharing our enrollment links. That ends my session with you all. We can now chat in case I'm also seeing there are many questions. So we can take these questions one by one and then we can go through it. So thank you so much. And
yeah, Harshesh, great. I think we finally got answers to some very, very important questions, including that how alcohol helps us to keep warm. But I think there are so many questions which are there in the chat and also in the Q&A tab. Before we get into the specifics, I think if you could just spare some time on kind of helping us all understand that how does this connect to, say, a decision making? Okay, like whether it's a design decision or whether it's a business decision. So right now, what I understand is that yeah, there is a data, we can kind of analyze it, and then it gives us some answers. But how does someone connect this to taking a decision? And we hear this term often that data driven decisions are very important. Means people say that in God we trust, and everybody else please bring data. So how do you answer that?
so to answer this, what I would in fact say, take an example of what I have worked with in my previous organization, where we wanted to understand what kind of trucks go to what kind of customers. And we have multiple different trucks that we give our customers, in the sense we offer. We have trucks which are big, we have trucks which are small, for which we needed to know which customer do I go to and what do I pitch. Do I pitch a small truck? Do I pitch a big truck? For which what we did was we collected all the data of the customers that we have. We have salespeople on the field who took out data about what is their application like, what is their range of mileage, in the sense how much do their trucks move from here to there, what mileage are they looking for, what is their load, what is their tonnage. With all that data set, with the help of Power BI, what we did was we segmented these customers into different buckets. We had customers who were a lot into the mining industry, which required a lot more into a rugged kind of a style of trucks. Some people were more into parcel deliveries. For example, Amazon customers would more or less be towards parcel delivery. And we kind of made segments and we kind of showed it across to our salespeople, where they could take this data, go down to those customers, and then have a pinpoint sales pitch for those customers alone. But if they are to list it down from themselves, it becomes very hard. In fact, what we started doing was we started making schemes based on the segments that we had created. We created mining. We understood that they more or less require this kind of trucks. So we started giving them schemes based on that. We understood with respect to parcel delivery, we started giving schemes based on that. So our entire offering to the customers changed based on the way we looked at our data and then we analyzed it. Now, a salesperson in Mumbai may not be able to see the entire view, but someone sitting in headquarters can take data from Mumbai, from Pune, from Delhi, and then understand and segment customers all across India and give a common scheme specifically customized for them. So it depends on what field you are, but at the end of the day, it's a lot more to do with getting the data and making sense out of it.
Okay, great, great. I think that helps. We'll move on to our very close friend. We share a common name. So Harshesh Chaudhary is asking, considering someone who is just starting or wants to kind of start a startup in a particular field, how does one get access to latest data?
Great. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it also deals with where do we get data from? That's one of the most important raw material. So
Exactly. So this is a very important question. Data in some companies is inherently available, so you can directly use it. But like you said, Harshit, if you're just starting across, there are a list of websites. I'll put it across in chat as soon as the session at around after a couple of minutes once we get through the questions. There's something called kaggle.com, kaggle.com. They are a list of open source data sets which you can just directly download in the form of Excel and start using it. There's something called datacamp.com. You can use datacamp and then get all your data sets from there. They are again open source, allowed for commercial use. There's something called ourworldindata.com. So these three websites, kaggle.com, ourworldindata.com, and datacamp.com, there are three websites which you can just go across, download data sets and start working on it. For that matter, the Indian government, there is a website data.gov.in. They also upload some government related metrics which you can start taking across. For example, number of road accidents on the road, number of accidents through a two-wheeler. So data.gov.in. So these are the four websites you can begin with. And these are all data that you can use open source and commercially take it across. I also see the next question by an anonymous attendee. Is data visualization enough for data science? I'll take a minute more to explain this. Yes, you have heard about programming languages like SQL, Python, R. These are very specific oriented languages if you want to get a lot more into data science to begin your journey as a business analyst. It's to begin with Power BI, and Power BI is not only about data visualization. What I've shown you is the output of the data visualization, the output of Power BI, but you can work across it. You can clean your data, you can do modeling, you can predict with Power BI as well. But assume you want to have a lot more control over your data, then you will have to go one step further into the programming aspect of it with Python, R. But as long as you're a business professional and you're working with data sets that we work on a daily basis, I am 100% sure that there'll be very, very few times when you'll have to go down to the path of Python, R, etc. It's having the data, you can do all of it in Power BI as well. So
yeah, I think just to build on the whole coding thing, I think there is a whole movement of moving from coding towards the no code or low code, and many of these tools that we are going to see, and even Power BI is part of that, is it is meant for users. Means you are a business user, you are having a purpose or a problem to be solved, and then the tool helps you do that in a very user friendly way. So uh, understanding of coding and all of that helps, but it is not mandatory, that's for sure. And even in this course, we would want you to focus on learning the concepts and the kind of methods and techniques of doing that, which has nothing to do with you knowing coding or not knowing coding. So yeah, it's never a constraint that whether I know coding or I don't know coding. BI is for everybody, and it's very versatile and very dynamic. So within as Harshesh runs this modules, you'll see that within 5 days you will be able to come to a certain speed where you are pretty confident that any kind of data you will be able to at least do the basic level of operation on the data for drawing the right insights and decisions.
in fact, you have hit the right note, sir. Microsoft Power BI says they are self-service business intelligent providers. So you can self-service do the business intelligence. So they strive towards making a tool which allows you to do it yourself. You don't need to depend on IT programming specialists to do all of it. Yes, our Python allows you to do a little more customized work, but for our scope of work, Power BI will be able to do a lot more than what we also can imagine at the moment. And this is the stepping stone. You start with this. If you want a little more, get down to that.
Harshesh, a similar question is now with these the close cousin of BI. So can anyone get on to Power BI without any hold on MS Excel?
Definitely. In fact, we have also taught, now Excel is just one of the places where you can keep your data set, where you can store your data. Your data can be stored on multiple things. For example, Google Sheets, if you would have used, or databases you have like Hadoop, you have MySpark, you have SQL itself has its own database which you can use. So wherever data is stored, you can directly take it. In fact, in our course on day 5, you will take data directly from the website. We won't be opening an Excel sheet, nothing. So MS Excel is not a precursor to this course. Power BI does not require learning MS Excel. You can work with data. You can work with Power BI without having any MS Excel knowledge whatsoever.
Great. A similar question, can this tool be used to link on websites like Zoho Analytics?
Definitely. In fact, if we had a little more time, I would have opened up my Power BI and shown you that you can directly connect your data to Zoho Analytics, and then you can take data from there as well. Fantastic. So there are connectors which allow you to do that as well.
Fantastic. There are some of them who are raising the hands. Yeah. So Vijay, just a minute. I'll just allow you to talk, Vijay. If you want to ask a question directly, you can just ask right away. Hello. I think that was by mistake. Cool. I think most of the questions are answered, and any further questions, you can always reach out to us. Priya ma'am, do you want to kind of share? Yeah.
So for more questions, to reach out to us offline on LinkedIn. Special thanks to our guest educator, Mr. Harshesh Gokani, for his time and sharing value-add takeaways from his innovation journey. We recognize the need to reach out to thousands of aspiring innovators and help them gain the skills and knowledge required for their dreams to become a reality. We encourage you to connect with us via our social channels. For those interested in becoming top-notch innovators, we invite you to explore our courses that will fast-track your career path. So log on to www.mitidinnovation.com to kickstart your innovation journey with MIT ID Innovation. Let's learn, innovate, lead. Yours innovatively, Priya Dhawan signing off. To everyone, stay connected, stay safe, and keep innovating every day. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you, Harshesh. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you.